Yo, what up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the channel. This is going to be quite the controversial topic. We're going to go into a bit of a spirituality type of deal, but this was inspired by a story that I will be sharing, and it's directed towards the New Age spiritual movement, and it's been amazing to see this thing take off. If you have been around in American society, you probably know that there are people who are housing a lot of crystals in their home, using them to manifest certain things. That tends to be a big thing, focused on frequency, vibrations. However, almost to a toxic degree. Now, I'm not saying that this is every person who practices New Age spirituality. Over here in this channel, we do not lump all of them into the same category, because every ideology, every religion, every political ideology, there's people who are pretty moderate about it, and at their core they believe it. But then you have a few bad apples who can ruin the whole bunch, unfortunately. I myself am a Christian, and no, the point of this video is not to say that, New Age brought me to Jesus like a lot of these videos do. In fact, if you want to come to Jesus, I want you to come to Jesus because he is your choice. That is the whole point of free will, in my opinion. In fact, honestly, as a Christian, it irks me when I see some Christians using their religion to justify straight up hate. I have put wedges between me and other Christians because of that, because like I say, I don't judge. I don't know everyone's life story. I don't know what they've been through. I don't know the emotions that they are feeling. I could sit there and I could listen to them and then give me my best advice, but ultimately the decisions they make are up to them. For real, I am very skeptical about cult mentality. And if I were to be trying to pick on a vulnerable person and trying to bring them over to think exactly the way I do, I would be the exact thing that I have a problem with, and that's hypocrisy. I try not to go down that path. We're humans, we're imperfect, but ultimately we do sometimes do that without realizing it. That's part of the teaching. But having being said that, I have seen a lot of videos of New Agers who come at it with a very level-headed type thing, who believe in manifestation, but believe that there's rules and regulations to it. And to those people who rock their crystals without allowing it to indulge in a complete hate, I just want to say thank you guys very much. And I encourage you guys to continue calling out the toxicity on your own camp as I call out the toxicity in my camp. And I think that that's how we allow people to truly coexist and truly get along. So to answer the question directly, no, I do not believe that New Age automatically equals narcissism, but there's a lot of examples out there who handle it in a way where it is narcissistic, and then they go from high frequency, high vibration to being straight up hateful because you're not as high frequency as they are. But I'm going to get into this story just so you can hear what I'm trying to tell you. When I was this last New Year's going out, and I was hanging out with this one guy who invited me to go watch a Phish concert live at a bar with him, which was okay. Now, he said it was going to be over at 9. It drug on till 11, and a lot of us were kind of actually like really upset about him because we did not want to be there. We thought that the music over there was really bad, to be honest. I'm going to be honest, like, whether you like Phish or not, I think it's a very avant-garde style art form, and I know that they preach a lot of the New Age stuff, but I saw their like New Year's countdown that they did, and I saw like a golden idol on stage, and I was just like, that is some very biblically evil looking stuff, if I might add, because if you understand biblical stories, you know of like golden idols, and you know how the spirit of Lucifer is supposed to come very beautiful, very bright, like an angel of light. He comes to deceive, right? Like he parades himself as this thing of love, but he has ill intent. So I was just throwing that out there. I think I was like, dude, that looks like a biblically accurate version of Lucifer, man. That is crazy. I never said it was. I just said it looks like it, and it didn't hop to that right then and there. But I thanked the guy. I said, hey, you know what? Thank you very much for the concert, but me and some of my buddies are going to go to this different bar so we can enjoy the countdown for New Year's and just go hang out with some people, because this concert's really dragging on longer than it needed to. But I digress. I see him at the other bar. He comes there. We don't have an issue. But I remember during the concert, I was telling him a story that he asked me. And, he seemed like a good guy. He actually wanted to get to know me at first. But he had an issue of giggling to himself, and, kind of like talking over while you're trying to tell the story. So he wasn't really a big listener, although I think he was really trying his best to. He had a lot of substance issues, to put it politely, obviously. So that could lead to that. Obviously, those people who think that substances don't harm your brain, they can, and they could make someone's brain snap. And like one of my buddies who works at a nutrition shop once said, your brain's like a rubber band. You keep stretching it. One day it's going to snap, and then it's never going to be the same. It's called permafried. But I told him a story about, and I alluded to this in another video, where I talked about how I'm not really a mentor figure, because at one of the gyms I work out at, we had a kid come in there who was very lost in life, and I did reach out and let him know that, hey, dude, I hope you help yourself over in here, you get the work in, and it opens up the doors to discovering who you are, because I think that's the way it worked for me when I started my fitness and martial arts journey. Is I was expecting like a Mr. Miyagi figure, and then what happened was I expected that like the Hollywood movies put that poor image in our head that's not very realistic, and sometimes the reality of it's better. Is you are, at the end of the day, the person who pulls the trigger. You're the one who puts in the work. You could take advice here and there, but ultimately you put in the work yourself. No one's going to do that for you. And, obviously the right coach means a lot. My current coach in martial arts is phenomenally better than my last one. My last one really didn't want to look at me as anywhere useful to his cause, so I switched because of differences. And while I was with my second one, I absolutely proved my first one wrong. But I think the lesson I took is no one was going to pull the trigger for me except for me. No one was going to get the work in except for myself. And I realized just how harmful that Hollywood image of a martial arts mentor can be, especially when it's all preconceived. And some people in martial arts do like to portray themselves as that all-knowing, all-powerful person, but they're humans and they're flawed just like the rest of them. That's why I like my second coach, is because he's way more, I guess you could say, human in that aspect. He understands that he's a flawed human being. He acknowledges you not to put him on a pedestal, because he's even put himself on a pedestal, and he genuinely gets a jolly out of bringing people up in his own guiding way. Now, he doesn't do the work. You do all that yourself, like I said. But this kid was falling for the same trap that I did, only it was projected onto me. And I was very honest with him. I told him that, exactly what I just told you guys, is that, it's not a realistic way, and I'd rather see him do it realistically and find what works for him instead of trying to copy everything I'm doing. Because the guy, was studying how I did bicep curls and was like trying to figure it out himself, and was basically mimicking every movement I had. Like, it was kind of unsettling looking at it. Like, he really wanted to look at me as like a role model, and maybe he didn't have one. I'm not saying that it's all his fault. In fact, honestly, I kind of felt bad for him, but I was acknowledging how unhealthy of his habit was, that he's trying to look to me as a guy with all the answers. You can't put someone on a pedestal like that, or make someone your complete source of knowledge or anything, But it seemed like he was just trying to impress me, trying to flatter me all the time, that I changed my mind. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, you know what, I got to be honest with him, and I was. But I think that's why I left him. I told him he's got to make the decision himself. Now, I did give him a gi, so he can, have something to go along, because I didn't want to just completely shun him. I gave him a gi as kind of like this is your journey though, but this is to get you started. I kind of thought of it as a video game quest. But as I'm telling him the story, that I'm telling you, the guy that I'm hanging out with at this concert on TV, he's kind of sitting there giggling, just repeating, you should help him, you should help him, ha ha ha, you should help him, you should help him. Like, I think the guy was already pretty fried at that moment, to the point where he's already on something. I don't know, but it turns out he just wasn't really listening. And while I was trying to explain my side, he kept talking over me the whole time, and I was just being very patient. But why do I allude this detail to you guys? Because it came to a thing where a couple of weeks later, he hit me up and he asked if I wanted to go to another one. And after listening to Fish live, I said, dude, I think we have completely different types of music. I know you think that my taste in Megadeth and Metallica is trash, but I'm going to be honest and say I think Fish is one of the worst sounding things I've ever heard, so I'll pass on the Landman, dude. Like, you could keep that to yourself, and then he's asking if I'm the one who introduced him to that, and I'm like, no, dude, I don't listen to that type of music. And then, unfortunately, I realized that he was giving me the whole New Age spew, that we're all the one being, I'm you, you are me, and all that stuff. And he was being toxically positive. And he was spewing out to me what seemed like New Age ideals. And I told him, I'm not part of that. Don't worry about that. I'm good, man. Thank you. And then he started to get very personal, right? Like, as soon as I wasn't part of the collective or I didn't fall in line with this box he had out for me, he would lash out. He took the story I told you guys and he twisted it. As in, like, I was responsible for this guy's path of self-hatred that he never really went on. I shunned him, which I really didn't. I was honest with him and gave him the flat-out truth, and I even asked him that during this conversation. Well, hold up. If I lied to the kid and said, yeah, no, I'll guide you through life. Don't worry, buddy, old pal. How would that go? You know, I told him I'm not doing that guy a service by lying to him. But then he goes on to exaggerate all my points of view, basically making it a personal attack. The guy went from quote-unquote high frequency to low frequency very fast. And this is why I'm telling you this story, is it's not just him, but there's a lot of New Agers out there like that the second you call out the fact that they're allowing this thing to disconnect them from reality a little bit, that's when they start to lash out. Now, you see a lot of people talk about how the New Age grabs people when they're at their lowest point, how it's manipulative. That's exactly what this kid opened up to me about. Is he said, oh no, this New Age ideology, you know, it grabbed me at my lowest point and showed me God and all that. And I was like, oh no, this is bad. This guy was a victim to cult-like mentality. He probably came from an all-time low point, he was, but I felt bad for him and gave him things like, I gave him like some benefit of the doubt and a little bit of grace, but there came a certain point in time where I wasn't going to allow him to continue to misrepresent everything I'm saying, telling me that I saw the devil quote-unquote everywhere, where no, I just pointed out the biblically accurate Lucifer symbology on stage, and he was like, oh, there are literally no Fish fans would agree with what you're saying. I'm like, okay, I don't need them to, bro. But telling me that I like shunned a vulnerable person and that I see the devil everywhere, which, you know what, I could give a lot of reasons that I don't see the devil everywhere. I don't see the devil in this microphone that I'm using. I don't see the devil in the video games I'm playing for the background. I actually enjoy Call of Duty quite a bit now. Thank you very much, Black Ops 6. There's a lot of stuff I don't see in the devil. And so you could tell that he was taking everything you said and, you know, blowing it out of proportion and using it to attack you. Meanwhile, all while talking to down on me, saying how he has 155 IQ and everything that he says is just better than what I have to say because of such, when I'm pretty sure that's not how IQ works. All while finishing every insult with, but remember, I have nothing but love for you, bro. It was like, wow. So I obviously matched that energy and used it against him, and I asked him things like, okay, well, if you have a 155 IQ, don't I have 155? I mean, we're all the same being. I'm you, you're me. Don't you see the devil everywhere, buddy? Because I'm you, you're me. And I applied that logic. The guy spiraled, right? And then he said something along the lines of, oh, well, I'm going to take a page out of your book. You're very self-righteous, so how about I just kick you out of my life? And my response was, okay, good. Please do it. I just don't want to have these conversations anymore because they seem disconnected from reality. But me and some mutual friends kind of came to a consensus that he's done this to all of us, where the second we talk about something that he likes or something, or don't approve of something he likes, he goes for a metaphorical jugular that's not even there. All while talking about frequencies and high vibrations and how we have to always show love and show positivity, even though he doesn't. But that's what I'm talking about, is toxic positivity and a lot of this New Age movement that I find, right? that it breeds a lot of narcissism. It breeds a lot of disconnection from reality. Because one of the things a lot of them like to talk about is that, if something bad happens to you, then you didn't manifest hard enough or you didn't think positively enough, which I think is bogus. Sometimes in life, things happen. Sometimes in life, you need to feel sad. Sometimes in life, you need to get angry. What matters is how you control that anger and how you channel that anger. Can you channel that emotion into doing something different with your life? Because there are going to be days in the future I get angry. I have to be responsible as how I channel it and what I do with my life and make sure I don't take it out on other people. I think that's what matters most. And I think that there's other people part of the New Age movement who would at least agree with me on this, is that we are human. We have negative emotions. Now, we do want to try to make as many good times as we can in life, but that's not reality. There's just as much bad in life as there is good. And the thing about a lot of this New Age stuff is a lot of it does kind of seem highly deceptive. I see a lot of victim blaming and narcissism under the guise of love, light, and high frequency, when to me that just doesn't seem like a realistic way. And you know what? I'm not blaming the New Age ideology. It's how people handle it. A lot of people love to throw the baby out with the bathwater, or they'll cling to an ideology from a vulnerable spot and take all of it with them because they allow it to consume their identity. But like I said, vulnerable people, like that kid that was at my gym, that I was honest with him and told him, don't put me on that pedestal. It's harmful. I don't want him to be in a cult of one person following everything I do. That is not me. I am not God. He should not take my word as gospel like it is. I'm just a guy who saw something wrong with his life and chose to at least try something to try to make it better. And was it the overall ending to all my problems? No, because that's not a realistic way to go about it. But when it was taken about in a healthy way, did it make things better? Yes. And we have a problem in life with moderation. We're either all in or we're all out. We're either glazing it and putting it on a pedestal, or we're burning it to the ground. So I think the number one thing on how do we solve this issue of people taking on any identity, not just New Age, but any identity, and running with it full force, full guns ahead, bulldozing over anyone who just dares to disagree with us. Learning moderation when it comes to our views. Not everyone's going to think like us. Not everyone's going to act like us. If all of us were under the quote-unquote same collective and were part of the same being, that would be a dystopian nightmare with no actual individuality. And as much as I love myself, right, I do not want there to be another me, because that would not be healthy for anyone. I would not want anyone copying exactly word for word what it is I'm doing. It's okay to be inspired, but it's not okay to be indoctrinated. But I want to ask a philosophical question on the way out before I land this plane, okay? And the philosophical question is this. Outside of your religious views, outside of your politics, outside of your job even, who are you? You take away all those things and leave yourself at a complete blank slate. What makes you you? You might need to ask yourself that question again and again before the wisdom of that question clicks. But who are you, and who do you want to be at the end of the day? Odd question, but I think it's a good way to land this plane. But hope you guys enjoyed this little rant. Hope you guys enjoyed the story. Hope you guys enjoyed the example. And if you guys had similar experiences with anyone really, obviously feel free to share it in the comments below. But I'm going to leave you guys off with, have a great day, and stay safe out there. Stay healthy, spiritually, mentally, all that stuff. Don't fall for cult mentality, and don't be afraid to be you. Peace out. As long as, you isn't harmful to other people. But yeah, peace out. Have a great one, and see you on the next.